Usually I ignore Fred, good old Fred, and his simple-minded questions and statements. But this time, Fred said something that actually intrigued me. The first thing I do want to say to Fred is, Fred, I need you to listen to the actual videos. I pretty much tell you where you can go and get information. When I was talking about Akhenaten and the fact that the Israelites did not sear into Akhenaten's mind the idea of monotheism, that Akhenaten came before there ever was an Israelite. I told you about the Meneptah stele. You can go look it up. It's a thing called Google. Don't know if you ever heard about it, Fred, but it's a thing called Google. But like my man Dan likes to say, Google competently. I like to say Google with critical thinking, but I already know critical thinking is beyond your abilities. But Google competently. If I talk about Akhenaten, Google Akhenaten. If I talk and look at when was Akhenaten around, I gave you the years. I told you he was ruling Egypt from 1355 to 1334 BCE. So I gave you the time frame. You can go Google that. I gave you the time frame that the Joshua story was supposedly happening. That was in the 1200s. We gave you the Meneptah stele, which was in the late 1200s. So I gave you all the information for you to be able to Google and see that the Meneptah stele, which is the first mentioning of Jews, where Pharaoh Meneptah said that he destroyed the seed of Israel, where he wiped them out, basically. And how that right after that, you had the defeat of the Egyptians by the Phoenicians, and then the Bronze Age collapse happened, and the Israelite people began to separate themselves from the Canaanite. I gave you all the information for you to Google competently. But it seems like Googling competently is not something that you're capable of doing, because you continue to ask me, where can I find that, sir? How many books do I need to read? Come on, man. And then you can't form a coherent sentence in this second statement, which is the one that I found interesting. You claim that right now God is showing me grace and mercy. You meant mercy. That he's showing me grace and mercy, and that I need to quit while you are ahead. You mean quit while you are ahead. That's how that go. And then there's these things called punctuations. And you and Aura, those are letters, not words. Use your words. Come on, big boy. Use your words. But how do you know what God is doing? Who are you to determine what your God is doing? I've always found it interesting that people outside of the person to whom they're speaking of always seem to know what God is trying to do in that person's life. It was one of those irritating things that I found in Christianity when people would come to me and say, God, I can tell, God told me that you're supposed to be a pastor. I guess all those people were wrong as hell. And I'm talking about mothers, deacons, deaconesses, pastors, bishops, all these people, and then lay people, all of them. God has told me you're supposed to be a pastor. God has told me you're supposed to use your business for God's purposes. God has told me, God has told me. God ain't told you jack, not Jack Dempsey. And how do you know what your God is doing? How do you know your God is giving me mercy and grace? The reason why you say that is because you cannot shut me down. The reason why you say that is because your God cannot shut me down, because your God does not exist. You are saying that because I'm still here and I'm making this video today. And if I live tomorrow, I'll be making some more videos tomorrow. And as long as I'm making videos, you will say God is showing me grace and mercy. God is still giving me time. But of course, once I pass on from this existence, oh, well, God said time was up. God gave you he gave you 150 years, because I'm going to live to be 150. God gave you 150 years to get it right with him. But even though he gave you all that extra time, more than anybody else, because God said that man is only supposed to live to be 120. Now, that's just that number of days. That's the number of days, even though there's been people who we can legitimately look at and they have lived past 120. Oldest person recorded to have lived was 122. Figured her name, a lady in France, who, by the way, smoked cigarettes every day. Your God has nothing to do with my life, your life, or anyone else's life. But it is people who personify their God onto their life or onto other people's life to try to give your God meaning, because you lack the ability to give your life meaning without some type of deity. You see, my life has meaning because I'm a father. My life has meaning because I am a husband. My life has meaning because I am a brother. I am a son. I am a nephew. You know, I am so many things that my life has so many meanings. I create businesses, that gives my life meaning. I help people, that gives my life meanings. The fact that I exist and I can sit here right now, and even though these flies are getting on my nerves because it's too hot to be in the sun, so they're coming in the shade, I can look out at nature and take meaning from nature. I don't need your God to give my life meaning. You don't need your God to give your life meaning. Find things that you are passionate about. Learn to respect and enjoy every moment of life, and that will give your life meaning. Believing in some God and your life only has meaning to go and worship this God on this planet and worship this God in some heavenly realm that y'all are making up is the only meaning that you have. And if that's the only meaning you have, that is a sad, sad life to live. But Fred, go ahead and keep living your life how you want to live it. Learn to write better sentences though, man, because you're literally embarrassing yourself in the comments, because even if you were getting across valid, good points, the distraction of your incoherent, incomplete sentences and the usage of letters instead of words deflate all of that, negates all of that. So you have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.